Hi, my name's Andy Phillips and I'm the head of training education for Escape Fitness, and today we're going to do the barbell snatch. Barbell snatch. This is, to me, it's one of my favourite lifts. It's such a complex movement that what we're going to be doing today is breaking it down, giving you, again, tips and tools how to get the best out of this movement. This exercise is about patience, it's about drilling the positions, it's about taking your time, not adding weight too quickly. It's about feeling the positions, it's about knowing where the bar is, okay? In terms of where it is overhead, where your body positions are in the squat pattern. So I'm going to talk you through. First off, we're going to be doing the overhead squat, finding the grip position, how to hold the bar. Then we're going to be moving on to a snatch balance to give you an idea about how to get under the bar and about the speed of movement that's required to perform this lift. Then we're actually going to get into the snatch itself and break it down in reverse form. So we're going to work from the top down, all right? It's generally recognized as probably the easiest way to learn the lifts. So what we're going to use today is just an empty bar, all right? I'm not going to add any weight just yet because I want you to make sure that you can see the positions, and also you can get the bar and you see how hard it is to perform just with the bar if you've never done these exercises before. The first thing to get into the front of the overhead squat is to find your hand positions and where it needs to be. So if we're looking here at the bar has actually got 2 points on the knurling, okay? But everyone's different. It's not one size fits all. And I'm just giving you a rule of thumb about this. The grip, it can change. Once you start lifting, your grip can change. So don't get too caught up on this is the perfect position for your hands to go. Because it's not, you know, if you look at top lifters, you know, they've got different limb lengths, and so it's personal preference. As long as you perform the lifts well and it's not injuring you, you know, it's about getting that position for you, all right? To hold the bar, okay, this is the best way, and it's called a hook grip, all right? Because the hook grip is designed to make sure you relax through the arms, because as the weight goes up, you know, you don't want the limiting factor is your grip going. So the hook grip is an essential element of performing a barbell snatch or even a clean, okay? So getting that is the first port of call. It can be painful starting off, so I'm warning you now. You can put tape around your finger as well. This is a little tip that you can use, but at the end of the day, you've just got to get it done. So if you look at my hand position, this is how I haven't got my position, but it's just to illustrate how you hold the bar. So you're going to take it from the other side. So as I do, I take the bar around, I place my thumb on the bar first, and then my fingers over the bar, all right? So this is hugely important. So getting comfortable and getting the feel of this position is essential, all right? And again, people say I've got small hands. You grab further round, all right? So here. With it being a snatch, you do release that grip somewhat overhead position, but we'll talk through that when we get to that. But the sooner you get to this, the better it'll be. So use it for your overhead squats, pressing, even if you do some deadlifting, throw in the hook grip so you get comfortable with it. Okay, the more you do it, the less it'll just become second nature. I lift like that all the time now with a hook grip, all right? So the next part about the snatch is finding where you need to be, your hand position on the bar, so that when the bar is overhead, it sits comfortably. Too narrow, okay, mobility issues, it restricts it and people find it very tough. Too wide, it's a lot of stress on the shoulders. So again, what we need to do, so we're picking up the bar. Right. We don't want to make this too complicated, so a nice quick way of getting someone to actually start this position quite quickly is placing the bar. It should be in the, I guess, the crease of the hip here, okay? This is where the bar wants to be sitting. So what I do, get the bar here, and then play around. If you can raise your knee, that's roughly a good spot to be. See, if I have the too close a grip, I can't raise my knee, so it's going to be hard to get into full extension when performing the lift. Okay? If I go too wide, the bar becomes too high, and so I've got to pull the bar a long way. So, for me, take that position. So it's just about around about the second bit of mark on the knurling. I can raise my knee without interfering with my arms. All right? So that's the hand positions on the bar. So to perform the overhead lift, you can do it off a squat rack, but for the purpose of today and filming, we haven't got a squat rack, so I'm just going to snatch the bar overhead to get into position. You've all done about where you've seen these positions, so we want the bar overhead, we don't want it in front of the body. When we're performing, we don't want the arms back, so we're putting stress on that lower back. We want the bar just over that top of the head. So if I show you, if I can turn here. So the bar should be over the head, okay? So now you can see in the overhead position, I haven't got my wrist too far cocked back. So again, just putting strain on my wrist. And if you look what happens, if I show you from the side, if I do that, look how my head comes forward, so I'm putting stress. So bring the head and bar over the head, it sets you in a better position. So from the front, you want to make sure that the arms are level and not at an angle. Look in that position, all right? So you're going to pull yourself into the position. So I'll just demonstrate and I'll talk you through it. I'll show you from the side. So there you go, that's the overhead squat. Right, feet position. So the feet position, there's a rough guide, but it can play around with limb lengths, if you're tall or short. It all depends on that. So it can change, but these are the rule of thumb that we want to be working from, all right? Imagine you're clock face on the floor. Your feet need to be around 10 to 2, all right? So taking that position, as you descend into that squat, okay, you want to be looking to see if those knees are tracking over the toes. That's what we want to be looking at. If the feet are out wide and the knees are coming in, we don't want to be in that position. This is where we need to push our knees out, okay? That creates space for our torso when we're in that bottom position of a squat. But what I mean is when you push or you drive, some people say drive their knees out. It doesn't mean drive them out so it's outside of the toes, because if we do that, we're going to rock onto the outside of our foot. And again, that makes you into a weaker position. So we want to make sure that those knees are level, tracking over the toes. It's a nice comfortable position as you're standing up. Look at that position, play around with it again. Find that position, have a look, lower down. That's good for me, all right? So, now I've found my foot position. When I'm standing up from that squat, just remember to squeeze the glutes. Dropping down, driving up, okay? Next thing on about that range of motion is you will need to do plenty of mobility work if you've got restrictions. Me just demonstrating that, you know, I'm quite comfortable getting them positions, but a lot of people aren't. So working on mobility, working on ankle mobility, rolling out the calves, just making sure that they're not tight, which a lot of people have generally got tight calves. Quads, again, doing various rolling if you do that sort of thing, dynamic mobility, range of motion work, okay? This is key to be able to get into that squat. And then for your upper body, areas that people generally need to work on is that mid-thoracic. It can be quite tight. Again, if you spend a lot of time in a seated position, that's where a lot of people get the restrictions. And then shoulders. So doing a little shoulder, you can grab like a dowling. You may have seen it, doing shoulder dislocates to help get range of motion through the shoulder joints. Doing plenty of dynamic warm-ups at the start of a session, end of a session. If you've got a bit of time during the day, it all adds up and it all helps to be able to form these movements. When you're actually performing the overhead squat though, don't worry about if you can't get down to the full range of motion, work the range that you feel is comfortable. Build up that depth, all right? It's not a race. You don't need to, the more time you spend on getting that position and getting comfortable in that position, the better it's going to be for you when you progress to add weight. Because if you have limitations now and you start adding weight, it's just going to magnify that as you get the weight on. And then you'll get to a sticking point and you have to regress. So it's better to nail it from the start, from the get-go, and you're going to get a smoother transition by adding the weight on as you work up through the movement. The next part of learning the snatch is the snatch balance. So the snatch balance is the first time we start really getting speed through the body. When I first started lifting, I loved this movement, okay? It gave me that sense of speed and power. When you perform it though, again, it's about you moving. It's not about the bar moving. So you have to move under the bar at speed. And this is so you're pulling, you will hear people say, pull yourself under the bar, just so you feel like you're active in this movement. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to demonstrate a few. I'll demonstrate from the front and I'll demonstrate from the side, the snatch balance. So as I said previously, we find our hand position to form the snatch and the overhead. You're going to take it down on your back. So I'll demonstrate first. Show you from the side. So that was the snatch balance. So as you can see, it's about that pulling yourself under the bar. If you noticed, if you were to slow that down, you would see that the bar actually doesn't really move. It stays, if you do it correctly, it will actually just lower. It won't raise up. So think about pulling yourself under that bar. You just drop. If I reset myself, I'm pulling, if you watch, boom, there. You can see my arms just punch out. So it's a drive, the elbow, locked in tight. If you don't get that lock, you're going to get that slight bend and that's going to create issues through the elbows. When you're starting with the snatch balance, feet position is kind of key. A lot of people naturally go into their squat pattern when they're starting to perform it. But the issue is, if you start in that squat pattern and then you're going to drop into it, watch what would happen with my feet. And you'll see this a lot with people. So again, straight away, I've got no chance of actually keeping my head and chest up. And this is not a strong position anyway. So the snatch position, bring your feet a little bit closer. Bring the knee underneath your hips. So when you actually initiate the movement, you finish off in your squat pattern. So if I was to drop again, dropping in to that squat pattern. Look, again, you can see knee tracking over toes. Return to stand position. Bring it back to that start position. Drop the bar back to the shoulders. And again, perform the lift. Don't do high repetitions with this. You know, keep them low. You know, 3, very maxed, 5 repetitions. You don't need to do a lot with this. It takes quite a lot out of you if you've never done this movement before. As you can see, I'm just using an empty bar. We don't need to add weight. Practice and drill this position, and you will start feeling speed working through your body. And it's just a fantastic movement, just to feel how quick you can and how much power you can generate in the movement. Now time to get rocking, the fun stuff. We're going to get the bar, and this is where we're going to work the positions. As I said earlier, we're going to do the reverse chain method. Get in your hand position. Make sure the right position. The first movement we're going to be learning is you're going to soften the knees. Get the foot, just the feet underneath the hips, soften the knees. You're going to generate power for that lower body. Don't worry too much about the arms. Think about pushing the ground away when you perform this lift. All right. So you can see there, to start that position, so slip of the knees. Get the bar, pull your shoulder blades back, get tight through that mid-back, all right? You generate that power as you push the ground away, driving up. You want to get in that triple extension. This is probably the hardest part of the lift. Drive that hip through, squeeze. Part of this is to get that, is to squeeze those glutes, squeeze that bum at the top. Make sure it's nice and tight. Once you've got that height, you're going to do what we did in the snatch balance, is that feeling of pulling yourself under that bar. Turn the bar over and pulling it, catching it. The depth of the squat, I kind of get under it quite quickly, but you could catch it higher if you feel you need to, and then lower yourself into that squat, okay? Hit the position there and lowering it and work that. And again, all we're doing is drilling these positions. It's not a race. You don't have to rush these positions. If you can't get there, don't beat yourself up. Get there, in there, and then lower yourself. You're still performing an overhead squat, which has still got massive benefits and massive crossovers. Just keep at it, and over time, it will happen. You will get into that position. So I'll just go for it again from the front so you can see from the front as well. That start position. So again, you can see each time I'm making sure that I've got the hands in the correct position. Just as good practice. Okay, so that's that position, that first position. Yeah, tall position, hit the dot point, eye level. That's the point. I kind of forgot to mention that. Don't forget that we talked about that in the overhead squat and the snatch balance, is pick that spot just above eye level, and that's your spot. Work on that throughout the lift. Keep it going. Keep that. That's your constant, okay? The next position we're going to be looking at is just that mid shin, all right? So now we're gonna have to get into that position. So it's a slip of the knees first, and then you're gonna be pushing your bum back, so you're gonna hinge at the hips. So the bar will lower. What you'll find, if you hold yourself in this position for a long time, your thighs, your quads will burn. It's just, you know, that's a good thing. If it doesn't, that means you're not in the right position. So, going through it again, so it's that slip of the knees, tip the hip. You're going to lower that bar down to that mid shin. That weight is even distributed through the feet as well. That back shoulders level with the bar. You're going to be working through the position and hitting that position we've just worked on. So I'll just show you from the side. I know the lifts are quick, but when you're learning the lifts, speed is your enemy. If you noticed, I just got the bar moving. This is where you get rocking. This is where you accelerate the bar from around that hips. If you go quick from here, more than likely you're going to throw your head back and it's going to affect the lift. So if you just get that bar, constant movement, and as it gets to the hips, that's where the speed comes in, all right? So I'll show you from the front again. Take yourself in position, lift the knees, tip the hips. Okay, so that's your second position you need to work on. Hitting them positions each time. Work on it. You've done position one, you feel happy, take it down. Then those key points, that position of the feet, weight distribution. If you're too much in your toes, it's going to be hard, you're going to throw you off balance and you're going to move forwards into that lift. If you're too far back in your heels, it's hard to actually get over the bar, so you're going to fall backwards doing the lift. So lower your torso between your legs, knees, hips, saying these should be on fire. Stay over the bar, shoulders over the bar, here, here. Those knees shift through, so you're going to that position that we did before, and that's when you come up, okay? I've added some weight on, so we've got 40 kilograms on this bar now. Which, to some people, it doesn't sound like a lot of weight, but especially if you're quite happy you've been squatting 100, whatever, you know, anything above 100, and then all of a sudden you've given this, and this beats you up. But if you trust in the process of what we've done before previously, you're gonna get that weight. The weight's gonna come back up. You've just got to allow yourself to not get carried away. Or get with weight. So with the bar, all right, a few little points that helped me when I was lifting is the chink, making the bar part of you. So you've created that tension from the start. It's still that lower body. We still work. That's where the power is. So generating that power. So to hold on to this, you know, yes, we've got to get hook grip, but if you've noticed, the bar has got like a little chink. We want to be able to take that chink off before we start lifting, all right? So I've created that tightness. That chink is off. Do one more. I'll do it without shaking the chink off this time. If you saw the difference, I wasn't in as much control of the bar because I had to have a little rip the bar off the ground because I wasn't tight. I didn't create tightness through my upper body through here. It sounds crazy because I also said it's about relaxing. So you want to create that tension through your whole body, but be able to still move with efficiency and that fluidity when performing the lift. So, key points to look at when you're lifting at this. The hook grip. Making sure it'll hurt starting off, but you'll appreciate as you get heavy, the weight goes up. Feet. Getting yourself into that lifting pattern. Another way of doing it as well, after you've done the squat, you may find that you need to bring your feet in for that first lifting pattern. A really easy tip to think about is where would you place your feet if you want to jump high? If you're too wide, it's hard to jump high. But if you bring your feet underneath your hips, you can generate a lot more power. So have a little play. So if that feels better, so that jump position, give that a go. Have a little play with that. So find that position. The bar. If you have the bar too far away, you're going to scoop the bar, and more like that's going to throw you out to the side, throw you forwards. So I have the bar touching my shins when I'm setting up to do the lift. So I'll show you again from the side. Last little point to think about is your arms and legs. You want to get them in line. You don't want your knees too far forwards across the front of the bar. You don't want them too far back. So think about is have a look if your arms are level with your knees. Okay? But trust the process. I know I've said it before earlier, but work through the positions when doing this snatch, and you will benefit massively from this amazing exercise. The more time you spend, the better your rewards will be moving forwards and adding them weights and hitting your next PBs or whatever you want to do with this lift.